So I quit my job in the middle of the pandemic, no plan, barely any savings, with a little teeny tiny vision that I just could not shake. No matter how many people told me it wasn't a good idea to quit, no thoughts on what's next, just vibes, I still couldn't shake it. And I most certainly could not ignore the lack of inspiration I had every single day. And then just this consuming hunger for freedom, for purpose, for passion. And here's the thing, I would do that all over again, especially knowing what I know now. It almost feels embarrassingly obvious that there was success on the other side. But at the same time, in the moment, all I felt was this crippling fear that I'd lose 100% of my income because I had no other jobs, no other income streams. I'd be homeless. I would get my car repossessed. I would be living under a bridge. I would have no friends. Everybody would be laughing at me on social media because I squandered my bachelor's and my master's degree just to take some silly little pictures and videos. No one would understand why I was leaving a steady paycheck, a really good job with really good benefits, like honestly some of the best I've seen, and willingly stepping into the unknown, not having a clue what was on the other side. Only a year into my first corporate job. And don't get me wrong, there were some harsh realities I had to learn as well. It wasn't all glamorous, but ironically, all of the bad parts were none of the tragedies I predicted. It was stuff I would never be able to comprehend back then anyway. As an aspiring content creator, entrepreneur for honestly most of my life, I just didn't really have like a label for it back then. I really wish somebody would have shown what it actually looks like to step into the unknown, because back then it was so mysterious, it was so cloudy. I didn't know how people made money. How did they get by? How did they create their own roadmaps? Because if someone did, I probably would have quit a lot sooner, to be honest, and also maybe gone to therapy. So that's exactly what I'm doing for you today. I am breaking it all down. It is rainy out. I've got my little matcha with me. We're gonna get cozy. So prop me up somewhere. Get yourself a nice little drink. We're gonna spill all of the tea, except I'm not. I'm actually gonna drink this. And let's get into it. Here's what no one told me before I did it. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Ify. I am 28. I live in Dallas, Texas. And like I mentioned earlier in this video, I quit my job in 2020 with no plan. I worked in corporate tech and it was very tech. Like I was doing spreadsheets like SQL, Excel. I know, it baffles my mind too. And I dove straight in. I wanted to be an influencer. I wanted to be a creator. That was sort of like a failed trip. I have a whole video on that. And while diving straight into influencing failed, diving straight into freelance was super successful. And in 2023, I took it a step further and I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to fulfill the entrepreneur in me that really wants my own personal brand, my own business. And that's when I launched my brand, Sans Raison. And I started taking my personal brand and my content seriously in my videos on this channel, and specifically in this series called the Behind the Dreams. I like to share the reality of dreaming big, because while it is amazing and glamorous to achieve everything you want in your life, it takes some hard work. And I really feel like I love the details of the business, of creating, and all of the things that get you to the places you want to be. And I want to share them along the way because I want all of us to get there together, because these are the kind of things they don't teach you in school. And I'm like, we should have our own little university. So consider this your dream life university. Okay. If you want a little background on my quitting story, the signs that it wasn't for me, I have a couple of videos on both of those topics. And if you're feeling the courage throughout this video, I also have a 90-day plan that I created for free. You can download it and you'll get added to the newsletter as well, where I'll have plenty of other tips on this process and this dream life. So feel free to go to the description and download that for free. And let's get into this video. Okay, but real talk, if you were anything like me when I was leaving my 9-to-5, you have a dream, you have a big vision, and maybe even a brand name, but no idea what to do, what to make it about, or where to even start. I know the shift from corporate to creative can be really overwhelming because there's no rules for this kind of stuff, especially if you don't have any coworkers, a boss, a built-in community, because you're working for yourself and you're a solopreneur. I knew I wanted to work for myself, create freely, build something that was mine, but I kept getting stuck because I didn't act or look the part. And especially with freelance work, it was so easy to just ignore my brand and work on everybody else's because theirs were more defined and theirs were legit. I honestly struggled with this for years. And looking back, it wasn't a coincidence that the moment I fully committed to being an entrepreneur, that's when the dream stopped just being wishes and became real. I started posting, I started attracting other creator entrepreneur girlies, working with brands, consulting people on their content, on their business, and building my own brand. And the one thing that I did during this era that I should have done a long time before was making my business legal. I swear there was such an energy shift the moment I made my LLC official. Like I filed my LLC, I created my website, I created a logo for my brand, Sans Raison, which gave me the room and the space to finally be consistent with my content and show up as the brand I said I was going to be. And of course, it was years later that I discovered companies like Taylor Brands that literally do all of this for you. Meaning if I had known about it back then, I wouldn't have had to research on my clunky state website on how to file my LLC, watch endless post videos on what a registered agent is or what an EIN number is, but it's okay. I'm sharing with you today what I didn't know. And one of those things was using a business builder, using resources out there to make this process faster and easier for yourself. You can literally register for your LLC in minutes. Like, it's actually crazy. What I love is that they walk you through the entire process, so you're learning just as much. And you don't have to spend thousands on a lawyer or attorney. They have an easy questionnaire, so it's almost like they're just asking you questions and you're building your LLC with them. And they even offer coaching on all of this, which is amazing, because finding this information package can be so hard, especially just like on Google or YouTube or social media. It's hard to know exactly what you need for your state because every single state is different. If you need logo ideas, brand design inspo, business cards, a business bank account, a website domain, they have got you covered. And I wish somebody would have told me about them sooner, because they even handle taxes and accounting. And if you have done this on your own, you know this is no joke. I literally got penalized because I didn't realize that you have to pay these things quarterly. It's honestly such an easier process than doing this manually or doing it with your state. I did it the manual way, and I was getting like paper mail updates and having to make sure I was answering all of the legal questionnaires and documents and papers correctly, because I don't know what half of it is saying. These tools take a load off of your back so you can do what actually matters, like working on the content, working on the business idea, the product or service for your audience. If you've been sitting on your dreams because it's not ready, head to the link in my description and make it real. You can build your whole brand in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Okay, now that we know that, let's get into some of the other lessons. Okay, guys, starting off with number one, the world is so much bigger than your corporate job. And I know you know that. I think we all have that feeling, especially when we feel trapped because we're like, this can't be it. Like, there's no way that this is it. There's no way I'm going to be Jill across the table who's been here for like 30 years, like is retiring here. Like this is not my life. And I know we know that, but we don't actually get it. Until like I left, I didn't really understand how big the world is and how many people there are, how much of a small world it can be when you're like putting yourself out there, connecting with people in your community. And that is just something I wish I would have like shaken myself and told myself, like, you are thinking way too small. Like, whatever you think is possible, like, quadruple it, like 10 times it, because the possibilities, what your mental ceiling is what you tend to succumb to. It's what you tend to think you're capable of doing. And I wish somebody would have just shown me how big the world is, how much opportunity there is out there. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be the best in your field to show up and try. And you're not crazy for wanting more to just a stable paycheck and a job title. I think it's okay to say, like, I want more than that. I want to be known. I want to leave an impact. I want to change the world in my own small way. Personally, I like to think of corporate sort of like a university. I think we all like can accept that in university, especially when you live on campus, that it is its own little bubble. It's like its own little world. Like, you know that it's not real per se. And I think the same effect happened to me when I left corporate, because I'm like, oh, like the VPs or the presidents or the CFOs, like the people that are almost famous in my company, would be just like everybody else in the real world. Like, these people that have so much weight and the politics and the drama, like, it's not real when you walk out the door. Like, it doesn't exist. It was very humbling because it just made me realize, one, I was focusing on like such stupid shit, like things that did not matter, but I was leaving so much room on the table because I thought that this was everything. This was the world. Like, if I got recognition in my job, it was everything. And if I didn't, it was like the end of the world. And it's like, you can create your own world. That's the beauty of like leaving a structure like that. It's supposed to be the training wheels. And I personally think a lot of us stay on the training wheels a little too long, and it's not supposed to be for everybody. Like, there are some people who thrive in corporate, but how can it be that every single one of us are supposed to thrive there? I don't buy it. It really kind of subjects your mind to promotions and performance reviews and office politics, when in reality, you're so much more than that. You have so much more to offer. And I think in corporate, everybody kind of conforms. It's just natural. We all conform to a certain behavior style or thought process when we're around people who are doing something similar to us or are in a particular environment. And you kind of get lost in that version of yourself, that you forget that you are creative, that you have other skills, you have other interests, you have other things you're good at, and this one view of yourself is not everything. I really started to realize this when I started freelancing, because I was working with small businesses. I was working with like teams of 1 or 5 or 10, and I was seeing how like a small team could make millions of dollars, like helping people with their finances, like helping people run ads. Like, these were just normal things that they didn't necessarily have to be the best in the field, but they were making so much just doing something that they knew how to do, they were passionate about, and people needed. I genuinely thought that I would have to be 30, been promoted 700 times to get to a 6-figure salary. And just doing that in less than a year, doing social media, like my brain could not compute it. And I realized that with freelance, there was no cap. I could add as many clients as I want. I could drop clients. I could raise my prices. Now, it wasn't super easy. You had to like work for that, but it also wasn't super hard. So it just showed me that there was so much flexibility and freedom outside of my role, and that ceiling in your head just does not exist. There is always more to be made. There's always more opportunity if you're looking in the right places, and there's just more to life, okay? There's just more to life. The people you can meet, the places you can go, not to mention having all of your day to yourself and delegating your time differently. I literally feel like I had double of the same day every single day because I just felt like I had so much more time. I wasn't wasting time commuting. I wasn't wasting time working in environments that didn't make me feel my best. And when I got to control my environment, having my slow mornings, working out when I wanted to, taking breaks when I wanted to, not having meetings that drained me, I was able to get so much more done. So in every capacity, just leaving showed me that I could actually be better than I was before. I wouldn't have believed this one as a chronic shopper and somebody who just loves things. I love buying things and I like luxury things that can be very expensive. I did not realize that I could survive off of less than I was making. And I know this comes up a lot, especially for those of us who are making a really comfortable income. We're able to buy all the clothes we want. We're able to get our hair done or go to the nail salon or get massages or do all of the things that feel so good. And the thing that races to your brain the fastest is, how am I going to do all this stuff without an income, without a steady paycheck? I'll be honest with you. You probably won't for a little bit, not for too long, just for a little bit. But hear me out. I was shocked to find this out because I'm telling you, I was like grade A shopaholic. You could not keep my credit card away from Aritzia's payment machine. I was shocked to find out that I did not even crave shopping. I did not even crave all of these things that consume my brain. I was the person who had like lists of things that I needed to buy on a weekly basis. I did not think about it. Like, the moment I left, I was so consumed with, I am a time millionaire. I have so much time. I can do whatever I want. When you have so many options during your day, it's like, I mean, clothes and things are sort of like the last on the list. It's almost like a nice to have. But when you can enjoy the sun first thing in the morning, you can take a walk, you can, I don't know, even traveling, you could do it for cheap. Like, there were so many things you could do without needing money. It actually showed me for the first time that money isn't everything. It really cannot buy those simple pleasures of just being alive with full autonomy over your time and your day. And just for a little background, which more is in those videos about my full story, but I left with like $6,000, like a little over $6,000. And that was from my 401k. So I did not have money to spend. Around the time I had like $2,000 in expenses every month, and I paid for mostly everything on my own. The only thing I don't think I paid for was my phone bill, but everything else was me, my car, my apartment, any other bills that were coming through. I only had like 3 months to really figure something out and survive. Luckily, on my last month, that is when I figured out how to get $1,000 more on my last 1,000, and I was able to go one more month. And that second month, I was able to start freelancing more and more and more, and just keep myself afloat for a little bit. But that meant no cycle bar, no Aritzia for sure, no getting your nails done. Like, I could barely get my hair done, but it didn't bother me. I could film, I could put on outfits that I already had, and also I just realized like how much stuff I had without having to buy things. A big part of this is realizing that a lot of the things I was purchasing or buying was because I was coping. I was trying to fill a void, going on the most expensive vacations just to feel something, having to buy the best and the fanciest thing just to feel like I had some autonomy, just to feel like I could express myself, because I do express myself through things like fashion and travel and lifestyle, but I couldn't express myself for like 8 hours a day. So that's only going to lead to like binge shopping and over consuming, overspending. And over the course of like 6 to 8 months, I just got used to this sort of like gas and groceries budget. And it actually wasn't bad. I was realizing like how much I didn't need when I didn't have to cope, because I could express myself all day. And I think you'll be surprised to find that you don't need all of those things. Like, if you really look at all your expenses and think to yourself, like, what triggers my need for this thing? Or is it a want? Is it an actual need? And if it is a need, how could you adjust it? There's so many things that we don't think are options to us because we're just not getting creative enough. We're not in the situation to have to do it. But I mean, if you don't have a job, there's certain government programs that you can sign up for food stamps or thrift stores. You can also get cute clothes at. There are ways that you can learn to do your own hair, your own nails, or buy kits on Amazon. Like, I just never had to get creative about these things because I was never in the situation. But once I was in the situation, I mean, I did have a couple extra hours to do my nails. I did have the time to cook my own food, and it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was. This one is a hard one to swallow, and I think a lot of us, especially in this instant gratification day and age, we don't like to accept this. But going forward, sometimes and a lot of times, requires you to take a huge step back. And this is the part you don't see on social media. This is the part that people don't really show because they're in that like back. They're not really having a great time. There's nothing really to show or like celebrate or laugh about. But I think I had to really understand and get used to delayed gratification, especially being on my own, because there's no one around you to sort of give you those quick hits. You are in control of that whole process. When I was contemplating and going back and forth and like whining to my now fiance, then boyfriend about this, I was like, there's just no way I can do it. And he was just kind of like, you should just do it. Like, you've known for months that you want to do this now. You bring it up almost like every month, every week. Like, it's something you want to do. You should just do it. And I just remember being like, are you insane? Like, how can I just do this? I pay for everything on my own. I don't have any help in that regard. Like, I'm making this choice and it's something I don't think my parents are going to support. I don't think it's something that anyone's going to understand. How can I just do this without thinking or without having something lined up? Because I think at the time I knew that this wasn't just something I was leaving to job hop. I kind of was getting the vibe that you don't really like this lifestyle. Like, this corporate lifestyle, it almost seemed to fit because I was such a try hard. I was such a girl boss. I was just such that like try hard student. Corporate was something I had to try hard doing. And it kind of tricked me for a while that was normal. But I think after going remote and COVID and just burning out, I didn't have a choice anymore. I think I was just like losing my soul, losing the spark, the joy that I had in life. So I just couldn't tolerate it. I just remember thinking of losing so much. I was going to lose my credibility. I was going to lose the time I put into it. I was going to lose my income. And at the time, I think I was making around like 65 grand a year. I know right now that sounds like nothing, but at the time it was like a lot. It was a lot for me. That was the most money I had ever made. And it was pretty healthy and normal for a college graduate in 2019 to make 60 grand and above. Like, I feel like that was good because I feel like most people I knew at the time were making 50 or less. So I felt like, oh my God, how could I drop this golden income and basically go from making like 4 to 5 grand a month to like $0 a month? I thought that was like the biggest failure. Not to mention, I also was dropping out of my master's program. But what was so crazy is that in October of 2020, that's when I actually left. Like, I remember on Halloween, actually, like that was my last day. And 2 months for November and December, I just decided to figure my life out. Mind you, the savings are running out. I almost had like less than 2 grand starting 2021. And essentially from January 2021 to the end of the year, I was all in on freelancing. And it took me until October of that year, so like 8 to 10 months later, to triple my monthly income. I was making 10K months. I was making 15K months, like towards the end of the year, amounts that I couldn't even fathom. And just that January in 2021, I had made like $1,000, like barely $900. And I just realized how exponential growth could be when you're not capped or constrained. I worked really hard. I did not give myself a cap. I got as many clients as I could. I was always looking, I was always on the hunt. It was actually very fun at the time because I was like, wow, this is like a video game. And I was so worried about losing everything when I've actually doubled, tripled things. Like, that was a huge lesson I learned, that going back doesn't mean you just stay back forever. When you're actually in hard situations, you tend to work harder. You want to prove yourself. You have something to lose. There's like stakes. But at the same time, I didn't have much to lose. And I think that's the benefit or the blessing of going backwards, is that you don't feel comfortable, so you're willing to put anything on the table to feel comfortable. And I think when you have a steady paycheck, at least for me, there was no reason to make myself uncomfortable. There was no reason to, take a step back. But when I was forced to be in the situation, I almost had what my fiance and I like to say, like post-traumatic growth. I know we have like post-traumatic stress. I feel like this is not only just getting back to where you were, this is like going further than you've ever been. It really has no cap. The upsides are endless, and it's really motivating, especially if you are the kind of person who wants to create your own thing, or you are really ambitious. The person you are now and the person you will become in this process are two different people. So taking a step back sometimes is the launch pad, and it's not something you should be scared of. It's actually something you should go towards, because discomfort and growth are besties. Okay, you will have to become uncomfortable to change. You cannot be somebody else with the person you are today, because they're just different people. And as long as you're intentional, you will figure something out. You always figure it out, because we're human beings. We're born and we're made to survive. Hello, I am back. I'm kind of doing this thing where I'm splitting up my filming. Do you guys like the outfit changes in the middle of the video? Let me know. I don't know. But let's get back to where we left off. Fourth thing I wish I knew before I left corporate, or before I left my 9 to 5, was feeling confident in the fact that I do know what I want. I feel like I was so consumed with like, I'm young, I don't know what I'm doing, and no one knows what they're doing. How could I know what I actually want? Like, all the things I dream of or daydream of are just silly little desires, fantasies that can never actually happen. Like, these things are just like child's play. I almost like discounted everything that I thought could be a practical idea or just a desirable idea for my life. And I always told myself, like, that is for you and your playtime. That's not reality. Real adults suck it up. They have their playtime, they come to work and they clock in and they just become a different person because they have to. Like, that's what you have to do. And while now work isn't always play and there are going to be challenging parts of any job, that just was not true. Like, the fact that I get to sit here and film videos and create content, while it is very like thought intensive and contrary to what most people think, it does take a lot of work and effort. It's not impossible for this to be your career. And I wish somebody would have like drilled that down my head, or drilled that into my skull. I don't know what the saying is. It was later on, especially when I was like super depressed and just needing an outlet, that I found how other people were making money through this, how they were creating a livelihood from it. Actually, when I did leave, I didn't really know those details. I thought I knew the details, but now that I'm getting closer to it, I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to see more people share it, which is why I do exactly what I do of sharing all of these details, because I want people to know it's possible. But if you're wondering, you do know what you actually want to do. It may not be super clear right now. Those desires, blurry or clear, are the same thing. They're typically the same things. Like, I knew I wanted to be posting, I knew I wanted to be traveling, I knew I wanted to be writing, I knew I wanted to be making content. I just knew these things were a part of my life, and that's typically what I was attracted to. And I think you can find the clues in the things that you're constantly watching, consuming, talking about, thinking about, like those things that just feel like sort of comfort to you, or they feel like they make you motivated, like you want to do something about it, or you want to try it, or you get really excited about it. Just because it's not clear how exactly you're going to do that and the next like 30 days does not mean that it's not something that you want and want to pursue in your life. I feel like this moment really hit me when I was literally on a plane to New York City, a work trip that was all expenses paid. I got to bring my fiance. I was staying in Flatiron for a week in a really cute, like, it's called Sonder. It's like a Airbnb hotel mix. And I was getting to creative direct shoots. This all stemmed from a social media client. In classic me, I girl bossed my way with that client to the point where I was creative directing shoots. I was sourcing videographers and photographers. I was setting up interviews with these coaches that we worked with. I just couldn't believe that I was getting paid to do this. I got compensation for traveling and being away from home. Like, it was stuff that I couldn't imagine I'd be getting paid for. And I think I just needed in that moment to be shown that this was possible. And I was like, oh, well, if this is possible, what else could I do? Knowing that these are the exact things I want to do. There are other things I want to do. Could I get paid for those things too? And so these were just eye openers for me to help me realize that those things that I daydreamed of were actually real. In some reality, they were real. And I really just needed to believe that it was possible and put myself out there. I didn't know that that was going to happen, but just showing up for the thing that you like instead of for the things you don't like, it makes a huge difference in the opportunities that come to you. To be clear, the dreams did not change. My actions did. And the last one, I saved this one for last because it's kind of the harsher reality that I didn't really want to accept until I had to. While I know it feels like it, your job is not really the problem. And I think this was something that was hard for me to admit because it was easy to pin my job, the people that I worked with or the thing I was doing as the villain. But I really feel like the reality is that we end up in these jobs because it's a symptom of the bigger problem, which is we are doing things in our life that are not aligned with who we actually are. It's not that corporate or 9 to 5s in general world are just these evil things that's like attacking us and we don't have control. We're sort of like the victim of the story. It's just that it's a misfit for your specific life, which is why you are feeling those things such as like boredom and depression and feeling sad all the time and feeling uninspired. I think those are just signs that it's not meant for you. Like there are people who thrive in corporate, but the thing is when you leave, you are really faced with the idea that you still have to take responsibility of your life. And that's kind of how I ended up there, is because I didn't take responsibility for the things I actually wanted to do. I passed it off to what my parents said, to what society said, and I wondered why I wasn't happy. It's because I never chose to be there. When you start making decisions, you realize how difficult it is and why you made the shortcut or took the shortcut of choosing the easiest path at the moment, because when you make decisions, there are consequences. You have to live with your actions, but just as much as this can be a negative thing, it can be a positive thing. And while it was kind of painful to accept this and realize that I had no one really to blame but myself, and I had no one else but myself to fix this problem or fix this alignment issue, it was actually the beginning of a very beautiful process of me becoming a lot closer to who I actually am and doing the things I actually enjoy and kind of rediscovering myself. I think I passed off my schedule, my routines, like my thoughts, like literally everything to corporate. They pay for my health insurance, they give me structure, they give me an office, they give me food. And when you strip all of that away, you are stuck with doing all of that by yourself. And as a young 22, 23-year-old, that was very like shocking and jarring in the beginning. I thought I would be so excited when I left and I just take on the world and do everything. But when you have 24 hours to yourself and you are responsible for all of them, while it is liberating, it can feel very overwhelming and debilitating, because you're like, how am I so, like, what is the right thing to do? And how do I know the right thing to do at the right time? And it takes a lot of experimentation. From experience, it took me about a year or two to really get my footing and say, like, this is my routine, makes me feel good. And I've tried it in both ways. I know what doesn't make me feel good. I know what does make me feel good. And it's kind of a slow, strenuous process, but it's so good because that's built the foundation I use today as a creative entrepreneur, fully self-employed, doing my own thing and having no boss. Like, I needed to go through that. And I think it's really good, regardless if you are in corporate or not, to have your own routines, your own values, your own activities and hobbies, because that's nobody's responsibility but yours. And when you start to build that, no matter what happens, you have that to fall back on. So I had to build it myself. So while it can be a painful thing, it does make you better if you let it. But that's just something that I think I didn't realize, and it took me so long to understand why. Like, I just felt like, I know I'm capable of doing so much, but why am I not doing that much? Like, why am I not immediately productive and immediately a millionaire and making all this money and making all this content? Is because, like, you can't have the results without the structure and the routine. Like, you can't, there's no way you can just like go from 0 to 100 if the foundation was never there. You design your structure agnostic of anything else, and then you fit those things into your structure. So really my job was just a symptom of never really taking that responsibility, and it was just the perfect distraction for years. And I think it can be hard, but it can also be very good if you actually just take the time, even if you have to start all over, and just do the work, because it'll pay off for years to come. So while quitting didn't really solve all of my problems, it did give me the space to start working on the things that actually matter to me. And that honestly is the biggest benefit and beauty of it, is that you can finally start, because these things take so much time to build your business, to build your content. And I feel like I had the room mentally to start dedicating a lot of time to it. As much as I hope this video has been helpful for you in your journey, you will still not have all the answers before you take the leap, but I will do my best to share all of the tips, the tricks, the knowledge that I have looking in hindsight. And just know, even if you had a roadmap in front of you of all the steps, it would still take courage. So take your time, but do what you know you need to do, even if it feels like it's going to be hard or there's going to be resistance. And if you're somebody who has already taken the leap and you need something to help you manage your time while you do this, be sure to check out Taylor Brands. The link is in the description. And I also have a 90-day quitting plan or checklist if you're interested in that. It's also free in the description. And let me know in the comments which lesson really hit for you, like the one that really made you feel like, ooh, like, I get that. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so excited for your journey, and I can't wait to catch up in our next video. So make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss it, and I will see you next time. Bye.